And let's explore this issue further now. We do have in studio Professor Booysen, who is joining us for this discussion to get a sense whether or not this Bella bill, the contention that we see in some quarters, is it enough to challenge the stability of the government of national unity, despite what we've heard, of course, from some of the members, including the president there as well. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, before we even get into the conversation around the government of national unity, the passing of former Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan, certainly one of the big stories. Let's talk about his legacy briefly.
Yes, indeed. He made such a big imprint on South Africa's political transition, both in early phases and in subsequent phases. Also, when there were the transitions between presidents and when there was a transition between ministers of finance. And we know he didn't have an easy task in conquering many of these problems, but then we also simultaneously know that probably in all likelihood nobody would have done it better than he had done. So I think he leaves a very big imprint, big shoes to follow.
Now, of course, back to the Bella bill signed into law, with some, of course, sections of that particular act now being excluded, but of course, there's been a lot of talk about it in recent days. The Democratic Alliance briefing the media yesterday. The president, of course, also talking about it today. And looking at these developments around, this particular bill, the act now, and the signing thereof, do you think this is enough of a telltale sign of some of the tensions behind closed doors or not?
It is certainly a big demonstration of all the tensions that there are. And we know the whole coalition, so-called government of national unity, coalition government, which people even prefer not to call a coalition government, that is synonymous with tensions. And it started off on that footing because it's such opposing parties, seemingly opposing parties, except in some of the practicalities of politics and governance, that constitute the heart of this coalition, and it's the ANC and the DA. And it is in the ANC's interest to show that it's not beholden to the DA in this coalition governance game, because so much of the parties and interest groups, trade unions in the ANC's camp, also the Tripartite Alliance, are opposed to it. So the ANC, it's important for the ANC, who is part of this coalition government, to show that it is not beholden, that it can hold its own against the DA. For the DA, on the other hand, it is important to show that it can, as we heard in the words of party spokespersons, I think, that they can achieve at least some of their priorities, otherwise their constituencies are going to punish them.
Do you think the ANC can display that it's possibly not beholden, or are they?
Yes, I actually think the ANC can. It would not like to, because I believe deep at heart it really wants this coalition to work, because it's seen what it has done for past investment. Even if investment is not exactly streaming into the country, there is an improvement, there's a change, a more positive sentiment that everybody has observed, and the ANC is definitely bargaining on that, because its ideals for economic growth and getting the economy on a better footing certainly depend on that. So it can show it hold its own on that one. On the other hand, when it just comes to head count in Parliament, we know the ANC has made sure that it loads this government of national unity with small parties to such an extent that it simply needs basically one vote, and it can probably get it from Action SA or one of the other parties who are not in its government of national unity, and even the ones who are in a progressive caucus. It could probably easily get that majority to get at least 50% to carry ordinary legislation.
What are we to read into the fact that the minister that is tasked with implementing this particular act decided to be a no-show at the signing ceremony? As we see there, the president is, signing it, and he's got people that are flanking him. The deputy minister is there, the premier of Gauteng is there, but the minister releasing a statement saying she has some issues. What are we reading into that?
I certainly think that was a form of silent, a type of almost passive protest, although not that passive. That's staying away from the signing of a bill for the minister in question is really a big thing. So I think that was a way in which the DA probably wanted to show that it means serious business, that it feels very strongly about it, even if it did not manage to stop the legislation, but it's getting this little bit of space still to make its interests known, to make it seen that it's standing up against the ANC. So I think this was very much part of that type of protest of the DA, to show that it can actually make a point strongly.
One would then ask, is it politics first or is it government first then?
Usually, and I see it in so many places, and I've seen it in history in South Africa, party politics the last couple of decades, it's party politics first. We can even see in the local government sphere, metropolitans, that the ANC is now having second thoughts about aligning with the EFF and Action SA to take over Tshwane, for example, because they're not sure how it will be interpreted in a run-up to the next local government elections, whether they're in 26 or 27. And so they really are looking at how will the voters react to this, rather than do they really believe? Maybe they do not believe they can really make a significant difference in basically 2 years up to that point. So all across coalition politics, I really see party politics, number one, and after that comes governance. Sometimes governance only serves a purpose in as much as it has to be used to give the political parties a better image.
So when it comes to that then, one could then ask, if it is party politics first, what does it mean for the stability of this government of national unity, especially when you think about the fact that the DA also had a problem with the NHI Act, for example, and many others, they continue to differ as they are different political parties, they were different ideologies. If they simply put party politics first, what does it mean then for the stability of this government of national unity?
It means that it is really going to be negotiated from month to month, if not sometimes from week to week, because there are going to be many different issues arising, even if it's made as part of big statements of this coalition government, that the statement of intent is supposed to be carrying the core values, and it does carry some core principles and values and priorities in terms of stabilizing the economy. Those are there, and the political parties share that. But both of them will gain in the party political stakes if they can show that they have made a difference in governing, that they've made a contribution. So in that they both have a shared vested interest in that, there could possibly be stability as long as their own constituencies, and will be looking at public opinion polls. We haven't seen any since the formation of the Government of National Unity. We will be looking at by-elections, and the political parties will certainly follow those very closely to see how their fortunes in voter ranks are panning out.
So when it comes then to, the man who's at the helm of this government of national unity, he has, of course, said that, they had dinner, they were talking, and each time he's asked about it, he says that the government of national unity is a commitment, saying the same thing again in Parliament, that it's a commitment to serving the people of South Africa. But you look at these dynamics that are at play there within that particular, government of national unity. Is his handling of what we are seeing happening around it correct?
We can certainly see that in the last few days he has jumped to help appease the political parties that are a part of the GNU and are objecting to the bill. There were meetings, there were dinners, and so we can see that he certainly tried to rescue it, tried to secure or at least even out these differences in the last few days.
So when it comes then to the way forward, how do you see it unfold?
I see many more of these cases unfolding. We also now see that the president has been set and in sense of an example of how the matters of difference can be taken forward. We've heard Cyril Ramaphosa speak about the type of process committee that I haven't quite got, or do not want to call it a dispute resolution committee. They seem to have a problem with that one too, as much as they have a problem with coalitions. But some committee that will, or a panel of people that will identify these issues that need to be talked about and where differences need to be resolved. So that is also a small advance in the last few days, that there's recognition that they actually need a mechanism like that, which is a standard part of successful governing coalitions.
And I'm telling you, I would love to be a fly on the wall when this particular group of individuals talks about some of the sticking points. And I'd like to hear if things are as clear and it's no holds barred as everybody thinks it's going to be. But Prof, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. That was political analyst Professor Susan Booysen.